Okay. Sure.
In the year of 1977, an
Yes.
anime named Voltes 5 started airing on Japanese TV channel Asahi in the middle of the year. It ran for 295 days with a total of 40 episodes.
Okay.
Even though by this time period where mecha animes became mainstream,
I've never been a big mecha guy, but the whole mecha stuff, a big part of the reason for the mecha stuff is that the same reason why we started getting things like Star Trek in the West and Star Wars and all of these all of these random fucking sci-fi series. What year was Stargate? What year was Stargate? Stargate was a bit later in the 90s. Okay. But a reason why you started seeing a lot of that stuff is there was a lot of excitement about the idea of space travel, right? Like, this was very shortly after the moon landing, and people were like, we're in the future now. We're going to be living in a spacefaring society in a couple of years. So you had a lot of this, like, sort of excitement about what the future was going to be like. So you started to see a lot of this sci-fi stuff that really is phased out now because, well, we're in the future. We're in the 2000s, and none of that happened. None of that at all.
and the anime being made by
Instead, what you see now is a lot of escapism from the real world. It's like, hey, I just thought of this. Holy shit. Why do you see a lot of isekai stuff? You don't like the current world you're in, and you want to go to a new world. Fuck, I worked it out.
arguably one of the more prominent studios, Voltes 5 didn't make an impact in Japan compared to other franchises related to
Thank you,
it.
appreciate it. Oh no, spoilers.
However, in 1978, Telesuccess Productions managed to hold the rights to the anime in the Philippines. The English-dubbed version of the anime started airing on GMA, and the anime would be grouped up with other Japanese animes who are loved by Filipinos growing up watching these shows. What made Voltes 5 stand out by this time, however, the Philippines was under the dictatorship of the Marcos family, which was in its 7th year under a brutal period in the nation. August 21, 1979, dictator Ferdinand Marcos banned the anime due to its supposed harmful effects and its violent tendencies.
No matter what happens in history, nothing ever changes.
Many speculate that the ban was made due to the anime featuring a rebellion against an authoritarian regime. We all know what the dictator does with rebellions and protests. A further salt to the wound for the viewers of the anime was that it was banned at the time where the show was wrapping up, resulting in hundreds of thousands of its viewers not able to see the ending of the anime for years. A research paper made by PhD student Joanna Luce Buenaflor Obispo focuses on the love of the show by many Filipinos. The paper explains that the anime's depiction of various teen characters given magical powers have inspired many young Filipinos by this time to be more imaginative, especially in a time of brutality and oppressive period of their lives being tucked away by their favorite show, indicating that the anime's rebellious tendencies towards tyranny have resonated with the many Filipinos who would wish to fight against their own tyranny, an almost humorous yet bitter sense of irony.
I'm distantly related to the Marcos family by marriage because of my family. What is the Marcos family?
The eventual banning of the show further intensifies this resonation of the show's themes of rebellion towards a regime, quite literally doing the exact opposite of what the ban was supposed to have done for. The paper claims that the ban was the first taste of an unjust and totalitarian rule, which again, as I mentioned earlier, the ban was made before the finale of the show. More bitter irony, huh? The paper further explains that this first taste of injustice made these young Filipinos more aware of the dictatorship, which helps further when the
Again, no matter how much time passes, nothing ever changes. I wasn't alive during martial law times, so I probably watched a re-air of it as a kid. Well, if it was like a big cultural thing, I can see why it would be frequently re-aired in years following that.
popular opposing senator of the dictatorship, Benigno Aquino, was assassinated, making the dubbed martial law babies paint the dictator the villain. Further bitter irony, with the paper making a ridiculous claim that Voltes 5 was a major contribution to the eventual 1986 revolution, which it's not that far off. Right after the 1986 EDSA revolution that gave birth to the modern government of the Philippines, the show was repaired with the unaired episodes prior to the show's ban finally being shown. The timing of Voltes 5 could not have been better, as the country was showing strong signs of economic success. Televisions have become more available to most Filipinos, helping the show to become more popular, with key parts of the show being etched into Philippine culture and television. Funny enough, at the time of the new century, a congressman from Davao Oriental called to the House of Representatives to ban the show again for its violent tendencies. It didn't work out for the congressman, as the show wasn't banned and instead became more of a cultural phenomenon in the
Yeah, let's ban the show again. That worked out well for the first time. The show's main theme was rebellion anyway. Right.
nation, with the show inspiring musicians, clothing chains, and sculptures. As for a personal takeaway for me, I have never watched Voltes 5, but I have heard of it. When I was a kid, I thought that Voltes 5 was made by a Filipino artist, somewhat related to other popular fictional Filipino characters. Yeah, the sheer love and admiration of the show from Filipinos was so great.
Latinos love Dragon Ball, we have Voltes 5. I actually want to know, is there some lore for why Dragon Ball is so popular in Latin America? I don't know. I don't know if it's just people like Dragon Ball everywhere, or if there actually is some additional lore to why specifically Dragon Ball.
That I thought we made it. To say the least, the Philippines practically owns Voltes 5. And I know that might sound like a baseless claim made to just make people click on the video, but I think that due to the cultural impact the show has made, it has practically become our own. Which, to further validate that point, Voltes 5 Legacy. On May 8, 2023, the live-action Filipino adaptation of Voltes 5 premiered on the same channel that first aired the anime. The studio that helped make the original anime, named Toei Animation's parent company, Toei Company, was asked to help GMA in its videographic department. And to say the least, the production looked like this to this. It was a big upgrade. The series was, however, directed by Mark A. Reyes, who also directed Encantadia, one of the most boring and slow-paced shows ever. Will that translate to Voltes 5 Legacy having a slow-paced, filler-filled, badly made script, a story that would be criticized for? Well, the show wasn't entirely perfect, as many people criticized the poor delivery of the acting, as well as the dialogue between the characters being quite shallow. And what the fuck is this?
Of course.
Was this really needed? But I'd argue that this show wasn't terrible. For the whole 90 episodes, sure, there are some fillers and unnecessary additions, but it is a really good show, and I think that I am sure this is a gift to the Filipinos who had to wait for a decade just to see the finale. Plus, holy shit, the VFX was really consistent.
That's actually
From the
pretty
beginning
good
to the end, there were no problems
I wouldn't
with
have
the fight
expected
scenes
anything
whatsoever.
like that.
And in general, the show looked really good. I'd argue to myself to make an entire analysis of the show, but I'd also argue that the only way to explain the show is that it's just really cool. Just go watch one of the fight scenes and you realize that it's just really cool. There is no need to just explain the whole story or critique the live adaptation. It is better to go just check it out for yourself and witness the awesomeness of it. To summarize the entire video, I would like to explain the Cobra effect, also called perverse incentives. Describes unintended negative consequences when a reward or incentive is offered to solve a problem. The government at the time thought the Voltes 5 would inspire some kind of rebellious notice against the dictatorship, so they banned the show to prevent it, only for the ban to further intensify the rebellious tendency.
Yeah, here's the problem. If you ban this is a thing that is mistaken so many times. Most people, even if they're living under a fucking dictatorship, they don't care. They care when it starts becoming a problem for them. if you just let the kids go and watch their anime, they're not gonna bother you. If you take the anime away from them, now it's a problem. The same thing happened with Iran, right? A big part of the reason for the beginning of the Iran protests was the crackdown on the internet. If you just didn't fuck with them, nothing would have happened. Or like a much smaller scale effect would have happened.
To overthrow a regime just so they can finally watch the last episodes of the show. Voltes 5 have definitely made a major impact in the Philippines. The banning of the show has helped the young Filipinos at the time to realize this unjust system they were under, which would be really helpful today. And thanks to that, Voltes 5 would be a part of Philippine culture ever since. And while you can make an argument that it is only due to nostalgia and how it will soon fade away when time goes by, I'd say that it doesn't matter. I think the impact Voltes 5 has made over the decades has solidified itself in our culture. So even if the next generation doesn't have the admiration towards Voltes 5, the phenomenon of Voltes 5 would definitely be mentioned in the future of our culture if a similar occurrence of a Cobra effect would happen. So my message to Blang Blang Marcos: please ban Spike's family. I'd argue that your decision will anger the tens of cosplayers in this damn nation, resulting in a fourth edge revolution. It wouldn't hurt to try it. Or maybe an anime martial law if you want some apologists to defend your decision by saying anime is bad. It's up to you.
Well, I guess we learned something today. I always enjoy checking out some of these videos like this. It's always fun to get a bit of a cultural connection for some of these series. Jensen grew up with his aging though. My back hurts. So it's being forgotten as we speak. Yeah, well, this video only has 400 views.